Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today. I'm Courtney Latima. I'm the director of our inside sales team here at Winslow Technology Group. My team's only focus is the endpoint, which includes the hardware and all the software services and security that goes along with it. I'm really excited to also have Michael Pattis from Crowdstrike with us. He leads the SLED team over at Crowdstrike. So I'm just gonna jump right into our agenda real quick here. So we will be discussing a few things today. I'm going to kick us off with a quick overview of who Winslow is for those of you who do not know us. Then I'll hand it off to Michael. He'll jump into an overview of Falcon Complete, and then we'll round it off by answering any questions that the group has and a quick discussion around Winslow's NIST security assessment. If you have any questions at all throughout the presentation, drop them in the chat box. We'll try to address all of them at the end. If we can't get to it, we'll follow up with you afterwards. So who is Winslow Technology Group? We're headquartered in Waltham, Massachusetts. We also have offices in New York, North Carolina, and most recently, DC. Historically, we've been a data center focused company. And the past 5 years or so, we've poured a ton of resources into growing out our endpoint and cybersecurity teams, allowing us to be a full solution provider from the desktop all the way to the cloud. We have an amazing team of system engineers that help on the front end of a project, and a full team of professional services that help on the flip side with all the installation, the deployment, the training, staff augmentation, pretty much anything that you could need in the IT realm. We also have a full range of cybersecurity consulting services, assessments, and solutions to help keep your business and data safe. We'll be touching on one of those today with Crowdstrike. We really pride ourselves on making IT personal. We do this by keeping the focus on three key pillars. We're passionate people with great expertise that deliver unmatched outcomes. We have 5 key stakeholders within our company. The first and most important is you guys, our customers. Without our customers, we are not a successful company. Our employees are the second stakeholder. We always talk about having the best team in the business. It absolutely shows with every call that we're on. Our partners are another big part of our success. We really strive to identify game-changing technology. And so we're picky with who we partner with. It allows us to produce better outcomes for our customers because we're able to dedicate an extraordinary amount of time training on that specific technology. It's not lost on us that our community has a direct effect on our employees, our customers, and our company. It's a priority of ours to take care of our communities where we can. Lastly, our investor, and by that I mean Scott Winslow, since we aren't involved with any private equity firms, we're able to prioritize the other 4 stakeholders ahead of that and really focus on being the passionate experts who deliver unmatched outcomes. Last thing I'll mention about Winslow Technology Group before I hand it off is our assessment-based approach. We know every IT team and environment has their own set of strengths and opportunities. The assessments allow us to learn more about your environment so that we can make the best recommendation for your unique situation. So we have a number of different assessments, not just security focused, but we have others around the data center, disaster recovery, cloud, and things like that. I'll touch on one of them towards the end after Michael wraps up. But that is it for me. I'm actually going to pass it off to Michael. I'll be back to close it up afterwards. And just a reminder, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat box and we'll answer them up when Michael wraps. So Michael, it is on to you.
Awesome, thank you, Courtney. Just a quick introduction. My name is Michael Pattis. I'm one of the services manager here for our Falcon Complete business. So I work with state, local government, education, K through 12, and higher ed on our managed detection response service, that being Falcon Complete. So a quick few topics we'll be covering today. I want to talk about Falcon Complete and some of the relevance that we're seeing with this offering across specifically the state and local government regard here as well. A lot of public sector entities are looking towards Falcon Complete for a number of different reasons that we'll get into here. We'll talk about some of the costs that the Complete team is able to offset from a day-to-day security perspective. We'll get into how intelligence is integrated into our offerings. We'll talk a little bit about some of our response times, internal metrics, focus on how we're different than the traditional MSSP or MDR, and showcase a few examples of remediation there as well. But kind of taking a step back, we talk a little bit about the history of the Complete offering to start things off here. So if you're familiar with Crowdstrike, if this is your first exposure to Crowdstrike, we were formed in 2011, and really our origins and our roots are in homegrown threat intelligence as well as incident response. And through years of growing both of these offerings, we really saw the need to offer our expertise and our services to our customers as kind of a long-term security strategy. So we created Falcon Complete in 2017 for a couple really specific use cases, right? The first was customers who had the Falcon platform itself, next-gen AV, EDR, maybe different modules within Falcon, but could use some extra assistance, right? Eyes on glass, hands on keyboard, really operationalizing their security strategy and doing so on a 24/7 basis. And the second use case we built this for was clients who were coming off of direct incident response engagements with our professional services team, right? We'd arrive at the end of a 4 to 6 week forensic engagement with our customers. We deliver our report of the who, what, when, where, and why of the incident. But really what they were looking for was some additional air cover, right? They had their report, the associated forensics with that, but what they were really looking for was us to stay on as a long-term security partner to make sure that an adversary couldn't come back, regain a foothold in the environment, and put them through what they just went through, the past 6 to 8 weeks themselves. So we rolled this out as a way to offer expertise in the Falcon platform as well as incident response as a long-term security strategy. And since 2017, it's probably been our fastest growing business within CrowdStrike. Close to 35 to 40% of net new customers to CrowdStrike opt for this managed model. And it really ties into solving a lot of challenges that state and local government entities themselves are faced with on a day-to-day basis. So I'll get into here kind of our presence within the state and local government perspective and why a lot of entities within that are standardizing on Falcon Complete. As you can see, CrowdStrike has a great foothold within the public sector community and are very aware of some of the challenges that are being faced today as well. And a lot of that has to do with staffing, with expertise, and being able to maintain a 24/7 posture for not just monitoring, but for remediation as well, so we can combat adversaries there as well. And really what we're seeing in the public sector and a lot of sectors is it's very difficult to recruit, to hire, to train and retain security talent there as well. And security talent is really going to be that key pillar in protecting organizations, both small and large there as well. So as a Falcon Complete team, what we're able to do is act as a force multiplier to state government agencies, to local government agencies, to offer expertise within Falcon, 24/7 monitoring, and then really introduce end-to-end remediation for our clients there as well. A lot of times what we found is just acquiring a technology itself doesn't always fix all of the security problems at hand, right? You can buy the latest and greatest SIM tool or new EDR technology, but really where the difficulties come in with any security project itself are going to be in implementation, configuring and tuning of your tools, right? Being effectively able to manage, maintain, and update the associated technology you're using, whether it's prevention policies, sensor update policies, be able to effectively monitor, triage, and analyze all of the alerts that are generated by your technology investment. And really the most difficult part that we find, and everyone struggles with this, is being able to respond to and remediate incidents before they can lead to a greater breach there as well. So as a complete team, acting as an extension of your security team, what we will do is oversee implementation, configuring, tuning, ongoing maintenance of Falcon, right? We'll manage your day-to-day deployment and update associated policies for you. We'll effectively monitor, triage, and analyze alerts generated by the technology, as well as introduce proactive threat hunting, which we'll get to here in a moment. And then finally, and most importantly, we will respond to and remediate incidents for our customers at scale across the enterprise. And that's going to be really the key aspect and the most important part of a mature posture here, is being able to respond to and remediate incidents before an adversary has enough time to carry out their end goals here as well. So associated with these offerings and really integrated into everything CrowdStrike does is this threat intelligence, right? So for over 11 years, we've been tracking nation state actors, hacktivist groups, e-crime syndicates, all the bad guys that we read about in the news. And through doing so, we've understood techniques, tactics, procedures associated with these adversaries, but really most importantly, their breakout times, right? How long it takes them to infiltrate a system, to escalate their privileges, to move laterally, to exfiltrate data, encrypt data, whatever it may be. Each adversary is going to have a slightly different motive here. But the naming convention goes, right, the bears are going to be out of Russia. We see them a lot of times concerned with things like cyber espionage. Kalimas are going to be out of North Korea. Pandas are going to be out of China. Kittens are out of Iran. And spiders are e-crime syndicates. And we see these, really focused on the public sector at hand, right? They're working with access brokers, buying credentials on the dark web, and really leading ransomware campaigns with the end goal of financial gain in the form of cryptocurrency itself. So really the goal here of any security posture, and really Falcon Complete, is to stay ahead of the adversary in the race between the security team and the adversary themselves, right? So what I like to do here is compare what we're seeing across the industry from time to detect, investigate, and remediate threats to what the Complete team is doing today internally, compare both of those to those adversaries we saw on the previous screen. And a lot of times this is where that problem lies. On average, it takes about 120 hours to detect a threat. We add an additional 11 hours to investigate that threat, understand root cause, patient zero, and then time to remediate that threat is an additional 31 hours. And a lot of entities that we talk to, that remediation workflow is just restoring from backups if they have them, or reimaging devices, right? Both not very sound or effective methods for remediation at hand. So really, that's what we see as kind of the problem when we're comparing any of those numbers to any of those adversaries shown on the previous screen. We kind of see why we read about a new breach in the news almost every day, right? And maybe that's for technology, but really what we see is that's a lack of human capital that's leading to that as well. So as a Complete team, right, we're averaging about a minute to detect threats, 6 minutes to investigate threats, and then 29 minutes to perform end-to-end remediation for our customers there as well. So if we tally all that up, about 36 minutes from detection to remediation. We're a little bit different in our approach there from remediation, right? That's not 29 minutes to a recommendation or guidance back to your team with action items or really expensive homework. That is us owning the responsibility and really the outcome of performing remediation for our customers there as well. And we're doing so by introducing a 24/7 continuous monitoring and response of the Falcon platform, proactive threat hunting, right? So actually seeking out anomalous activity, maybe things that aren't inherently malicious, as well as that integrated intelligence on our adversaries as well. So I'd like to take a minute to describe how we're different than maybe the traditional MSSP or MDR itself. I like to use this graphic as kind of that example. If you look at the chart here, those white dots are going to represent your low, maybe medium severity alerts. The red dots are going to be your critical or high severity. And in the traditional managed model, right, most providers will correlate detections, right? They'll give you 24/7 monitoring presence. But what they're going to do is filter out false positives, right? Focus on the nastier detections, the critical high severity alerts. They're going to move them down to the right here with the end goal of passing them back to the customer with recommendations, with remediation guidance, with next steps, saying, here's what we saw, here's what's going on, here's some action items for you to take and apply to further mitigate that threat. And when we looked at the kind of the MSSP or MDR landscape, we really saw this as not a very efficient method of actually solving the problem for our customers, right? The way we view this, if we're not actually performing those remediation actions for our customers, we're not actually stopping the breach, right? What if the client team that we're working with doesn't have the bandwidth to remediate wide-scale TrickBot or Emotet infection? What if you don't pick up that phone call at 2 in the morning or have the associated expertise to actually mitigate the threat? We aren't arriving at the desired resolution of remediating the incident. We're just providing you the information associated with that, right? So when we built Complete, we saw remediation as kind of that core competency and really that important piece to actually stop the breach at hand there as well. So our model, we're not going to be providing you with expensive homework, with alerts for your team to then take and apply to the other areas of your posture. We will upfront out of the gate work with your team to identify and implement remediation workflows where our team will own that responsibility to perform remediation on our client's behalf. So getting into the technology and the human capital associated with the Complete offering, we'll just describe here at a high level how all of these pieces fit together and are really operationalized. They're all delivered on the same lightweight sensor, so your team will be responsible for pushing Falcon out itself. Whatever package management tool you're leveraging today for software deployments will work, and from there, all the associated functionality and services on top of that will be delivered. So it's all cloud native. There's no on-premise hardware or infrastructure required here in the partnership itself. Discover is the first tool we leverage from an IT hygiene standpoint that gives us visibility into assets, into accounts, and into applications. So your assets are just going to be your environment itself, right? So your desktops, laptops, servers, virtual machines, supported devices, IoT devices, whatever it may be, we gain visibility into those to make sure we can deploy the Falcon sensor far and wide. From there, we can look at applications, validate the use case of any potentially vulnerable applications being leveraged across the environment, as well as look at accounts. So we can see things like the login attempts, password hygiene. The whole goal of the Discover tool here is to minimize the attack surface upon onboarding. From there, we leverage Falcon Prevent. That is going to be our next gen AV, very efficient, lightweight, very effective. It's going to block 99% of all threats. If you look at Gartner, Forrester, AV comparatives, really any third-party testing, Falcon is tried and true and very effective at stopping almost all threats out there, right? But we'll be the first ones to tell you that no AV itself is going to be a bulletproof strategy for stopping a breach. We really need ways to keep that antivirus honest, and that's where the Insight tool is going to come in. That is our endpoint detection and response. The whole goal of EDR is to record and analyze all the good and bad process execution in the environment, give you visibility into what's happening at your enterprise, right? The difficult part with EDR is that, it checks a lot of boxes, it gives you a lot of visibility, but most teams and even large organizations that we work with sometimes have a difficult time operationalizing EDR data on a 24/7 basis. It's great to have all of this telemetry at your fingertips, and you're able to really run a 5-second search across your enterprise and pull back any associated data with that. But being able to do so, again, requires human capital to make that data actionable. So what we do is implement the first team of human capital to solve that problem, right? Overwatch is a proactive threat hunting service whose entire function is to proactively query all of the telemetry being recorded by the EDR data, right? Threat hunt to identify anomalies in the environment, maybe those 1% of threats, 0 to exploits, things that might not be inherently malicious but warrant further investigation. Overwatch is there as that 24/7 eyes on glass presence. In the event of them finding something from a threat hunting effort or the detection engine kicking off from a prevention standpoint, the complete team is going to actively monitor the environment, right? Manage your Falcon deployment, as well as introduce remediation workflows. So if Overwatch is eyes on glass, Complete is going to be more hands-on keyboard, leveraging a remote shell capability where they can quarantine files or machines, kill processes, remove persistence mechanisms like services, scheduled tasks, registry keys, anything that could be left in the environment from an artifact standpoint, and take you back to that pre-infected state as well. Another technology that's really crucial to mention here is going to be the identity component, and really also delivered in the managed service portfolio here as well, is ITP, or identity threat protection. We're seeing identity as really that initial access vector that adversaries are leveraging to gain a foothold within the environment, right? How are breaches happening? Compromised credentials, whether it's adversaries buying them on the dark web or end users clicking on links that they shouldn't be, or passing off their credentials into spoofed web pages, whatever it is, adversaries are leveraging that as that initial access vector. And from there, they can escalate privileges, they can kind of gain a foothold within the environment to move laterally, right, run risk reconnaissance commands and establish kind of a plan of attack across the environment. So what we're able to do is install a sensor on all of your domain controllers that builds out behavior analytics, user profiles, looks at real-time authentication traffic, so we can start to identify, right, what's good, bad, and malicious activity occurring in Active Directory, both on-prem and Azure AD as well. From there, the Complete team can start to implement conditional access policies and perform identity-based remediations there as well. And getting into remediation is going to be really the key part of the Complete offering itself. So on the identity layer, we're able to block access to compromised accounts. We're able to reset passwords and force reauthentication with integrations with multi-factor tools. On the endpoint to the file and registry, we can quarantine files, we can pull files for analysis and remove registry persistence. Process and memory, we can end processes, stop malicious services that have been established, global process hash block, and retrieve memory dumps. And then to the system itself, we can review logs, we can reboot a host, or contain a host there as necessary. So the whole goal for the Complete partnership, we're going to perform full triage analysis and remediation on your behalf and escalate to you a deliverable, right? Here's what's happening in the environment, an incident details report, kind of that post-mortem, post-remediation intelligence that the Complete team will provide to you, that's going to outline the who, what, when, where, and why of the incident, right? All of the actions that were taken on your behalf to remediate the threat. And then we will provide you recommendations after the fact that you can apply to other areas of your posture to be more proactive in infrastructure that might not be directly managed by Crowdstrike there as well. So this is the end goal. This is the deliverable, right? This is the key takeaway for Complete is, when we built this service, this was what we had in mind as the key differentiator and our ability to actually prevent breaches and stop adversaries from continuing their efforts there as well. Want to leave the last 5 minutes here for any questions, so really appreciate the time this afternoon. And back to Courtney.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it. It does not look like there are any questions right now. So what I will do is I will just wrap us up, and then we'll go from there. So thanks so much for that, Michael. Really appreciate your time. And I just want to quickly talk about our NIST security evaluation. I mentioned in my opening that we take an assessment-based approach to IT because our team firmly believes security is a multi-layered approach. Our technical team runs through a number of questions with your team to gather a full picture of your current security environment. After the 60-minute assessment, we provide you with a report card detailing your strengths and maybe some areas for opportunity. From there, we'll work with your team to help prioritize any improvements that need to be made and walk with you through that journey, kind of deciding what the best solution is for your unique environment. Our team will follow up with everyone later this week to see about getting that scheduled for anyone who's interested. We also would like to follow up with you guys, maybe get Michael on a one-on-one with you, learn a little bit more, deep dive into what it would look like in your specific environment. But I'm very appreciative of everyone giving us 30 minutes of their day today. I know that ask is becoming harder and harder every day. So I hope everyone has a great rest of the day. We look forward to talking to you guys all soon. And Michael, again, thank you for your time.